Carl Jung. Why some people cannot be shaken. There are people walking this earth who simply cannot be broken. You've seen them. Nothing rattles them. Criticism lands on them like rain on stone. It touches the surface and slides off. Their plans collapse and they don't collapse with them. Someone walks up and tries to humiliate them in front of everyone, and they just look back, calm, steady, unmoved. Well, what do they know that you don't? Because the average person is living in a completely different reality. Someone makes a passing comment about their appearance and their entire week unravels. A project fails and they spiral into self-destruction. A stranger gives them a cold look and suddenly they're lying awake at 2 a.m., replaying it, dissecting it, wondering what they did wrong. That is not living. That is surviving. That is being dragged through life by the collar, moved by every hand that reaches out to grab you. Carl Jung, one of the most profound minds in the history of psychology, spent his entire life trying to understand why human beings suffer this way. And what he found was not what most people expect. He found that the prison is not outside. The prison is inside. Most people walk through their entire lives believing the world is happening to them, that people are hurting them, that circumstances are working against them. But Jung saw something deeper, something more unsettling and more liberating at the same time. He saw that the world is simply a mirror. And everything you react to, every person who triggers you, every situation that wounds you, is reflecting something that already lives inside you. Here is the principle that changes everything once you truly understand it. Nothing outside of you can shake you unless it finds something inside you to hold on to. Think about that slowly. If someone calls you a failure and it destroys you, that destruction doesn't come from their words. Words are just sound, air moving. The destruction comes from the part of you that secretly fears they might be right. If someone ignores you and you feel that familiar ache, that ache doesn't come from their silence. It comes from the part of you that is still waiting for the world to tell you that you matter. Two people can go through the identical situation, same words, same loss, same betrayal, and walk away feeling entirely different things, because it was never about what happened. It was always about what was already living inside them. Jung called the process of exploring this your shadow work. The shadow is not evil, it is simply everything you've never been willing to look at. The fears you don't admit to anyone, including yourself. The wounds you decided were too painful to revisit. The parts of your personality you judged as unacceptable and buried so deep you forgot they were there. But here is what Jung understood that most people never do. What you bury does not die. It goes underground. And from underground it runs your life. Every overreaction, every irrational burst of anger, every moment of sudden, unexplainable shame, that is not weakness. That is your unexamined shadow knocking on the door, trying to be seen. Every single time something triggers you, every sharp, hot, immediate reaction that rises inside, that is not the world attacking you. That is a part of yourself that has been waiting in the dark, trying to get your attention. Most people do everything they can to avoid this truth. They blame the boss. They blame the ex. They blame bad luck and unfair systems and difficult people. And honestly, it makes sense. It is so much easier to point the finger outward than to slowly, honestly turn it around and point it at yourself. But for the rare few who are willing to do that, who stop blaming and start getting genuinely curious about their own reactions, something extraordinary opens up. Not a perfect life, not a painless life, but a free one, a life where no person, no situation, No event in the external world can reach inside and pull the strings. A life where you are the one holding your own peace, and no one else can take it from you. Jung said something that should stop you completely in your tracks. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Read that again. All those invisible stories running in the background, whether you deserve good things, whether people can be trusted, whether you are capable of becoming who you want to be, all of those stories are steering you without your knowledge. You believe you are making free choices. You are not. You are playing out old programming. Patterns installed in you before you were old enough to question them. Reactions shaped by wounds that never properly healed. And here is where it gets almost paradoxical. The more desperately you try to control things outside yourself, the more power you give them over you. The moment you need someone to respect you, truly need it, they can use that need against you. The moment you need an outcome to go a specific way, that outcome owns you. The moment you need life to be fair, you have handed your peace over to something that will never stay still long enough to hold it. But let go of that need. Truly, genuinely let go. And something remarkable happens. You become free, not cold, not detached from life. Free. Free from needing approval, free from the terror of things going wrong, free from the endless, exhausting effort of trying to force the world to match your expectations. And here is what is almost strange. When you stop needing things to go a certain way, they often start going better. When you stop chasing desperately, you move with more confidence. When you stop fighting and start flowing, things begin falling into place in ways you could never have forced. This is not philosophy. Science confirms it. Research in psychology has shown again and again that the tighter you grip something, a relationship, an outcome, a version of yourself, the more resistance you create. People who are desperate for love push it away. People terrified of failure make the exact mistakes that guarantee it. People who cling hardest to control end up feeling the most powerless. So ask yourself honestly, are you spending your energy trying to control a world that was never yours to control? Or are you directing that energy inward, toward the one thing you actually can transform? Because once you shift that, the entire game changes. Picture this moment. You're moving through your day, feeling grounded, when someone comes at you. Maybe they call you weak. Maybe they tell you that you're going nowhere. Maybe they dismiss you entirely, like you are simply not worth acknowledging. What happens inside your body in that instant? For most people, it is immediate and total. The chest tightens, the jaw locks. Either hot anger floods through them like fire, or a slow, sinking wound settles in the stomach. And then for hours, sometimes days, those words replay on a loop. Each pass through the mind makes them sting a little deeper. Now imagine a completely different response. Nothing, not forced, nothing, not gritted teeth and white-knuckled suppression. Genuine, honest, undisturbed calm. A quiet internal recognition that simply says, "This has nothing to do with me." That is what the Stoics pointed toward for centuries. That is what Zen masters have embodied across generations. That is exactly what Jung spent his entire career studying from a psychological foundation. Nothing outside of you can shake you unless something inside you is already shaking. And here is why most people are always shaking. Because they built their entire sense of self on something fragile. On what others think of them, on whether they are winning or losing, on whether life keeps confirming the story they need to believe about themselves. When the foundation of your identity is built on other people's opinions and external outcomes, of course it crumbles the moment the wind changes, of course it does. Jung's concept of the shadow explains this with devastating clarity. The shadow is everything you push down out of sight. Every fear you decided was too shameful to admit. Every wound you told yourself you were over. Every part of your personality you labeled unacceptable and locked in the basement. And the problem is brutally simple. What you push down doesn't disappear. It just starts running your life from below the surface. Invisible to you, but not to anyone who knows where to press. When someone triggers a sharp reaction in you, they are not creating something new. They are stepping on something old. They are pressing a bruise that was already there, long before they arrived. The anger, the defensiveness, the hurt. None of that is actually about them. It is about what they accidentally uncovered inside you. Think about what this truly means. If you were genuinely at peace with yourself, fully, honestly comfortable with who you are, someone's insult would land like a pebble tossed at a mountain. A small sound, then nothing. So the real work is not about silencing the world. It is not about avoiding difficult people or only surrounding yourself with those who treat you well. It is about going inward and doing the honest, sometimes uncomfortable work of facing yourself completely. Because once you have truly looked at your shadows, once you have faced your fears without flinching, once you have owned the parts of yourself you used to hide, nobody can weaponize those things against you anymore. They have nothing left to hold on to. And neuroscience confirms this is real and physical, not just metaphor. Emotional reactivity is essentially a habit. Your brain builds pathways for reacting the same way it builds pathways for anything repeated often enough. The more you have let things get to you over the years, the more automatic that reaction has become. It feels like it just happens, like you have no say. But those pathways can genuinely change. Through awareness, through sitting with discomfort instead of running from it, through choosing, in that small gap between trigger and reaction, to observe rather than explode. Over time, the brain restructures itself. Insults land softer. Failures stop feeling fatal. Uncertainty stops feeling like a threat. Not because you have become numb, but because you have become grounded. Jung put it this way: everything that bothers us about others can teach us something about ourselves. That is a hard thing to sit with, because it means every irritation, every moment of feeling disrespected or dismissed, every flash of anger at someone else's behavior, all of it is a mirror being held up. And what you are seeing in that mirror is not them, it is you. Most people look at the mirror and demand it change. They rearrange everything around them, relationships, environments, circumstances, rather than asking why the reflection looks the way it does. That is projection. That is blame. It is easier to reshape the world than to reshape yourself. But the people who have done the inner work, they stop getting pulled into the game entirely. When someone tries to provoke them, there is nothing there to provoke. When someone tries to make them feel small, the attempt simply does not land. Not because they are performing indifference, but because at a deep, genuine level, it doesn't reach them. Think of it like this: you are the sky. The emotions, the provocations, the chaos of other people, and difficult circumstances, though those are weather. Storms move through the sky. They can be violent and dark and overwhelming. But the sky above does not panic. The sky does not try to stop the storm. It simply remains, vast, open, unchanged. And the storm passes through without leaving a mark. That is the mind you are capable of building. And the moment you begin living from that place, something shifts in how others experience you. They sense you cannot be rattled. They sense you are not playing the game where their words hold power over your state. And that stillness, that deep, unforced rootedness, draws people in. It earns a kind of respect that no amount of performing or impressing ever could. Because truly powerful people are not those who control everything around them. They are the ones who have stopped needing to. So how do you actually get there? It begins with one shift. One small but completely massive shift in how you relate to your own reactions. You stop assuming your reactions are caused by the world. You start getting genuinely curious about them instead. The next time something bothers you, before you go straight into justifying your reaction, before you reach for someone to blame, you pause just for 1 second and you ask yourself honestly, what part of me is being touched right now? What old story just got activated? What does this reaction tell me about what is still unresolved inside me? That pause is everything. It is the gap between stimulus and response. And in that gap, as Jung understood, as the Stoics understood, as neuroscience now confirms, lies your freedom. Most people spend their entire lives without ever finding that gap. They go from trigger to reaction automatically every single time, convinced that the world is doing it to them. But once you find that gap and start choosing to live inside it, everything is different. You are no longer a piece on a board being moved by other people's hands. You are the player. Better yet, you are the one watching the whole game clearly from above, seeing every move attached to none of it. That is what it means to master your own mind, not suppressing what you feel, not pretending life doesn't hurt, but understanding your reactions so deeply and so completely that they no longer own you. You see them coming. You understand what they are truly about, and you choose, in full awareness, what to do next. You were never meant to be controlled by the noise outside you. You were meant to be rooted so deeply in yourself that the noise simply passes through and leaves no mark. That freedom is waiting for you, and it begins the moment you stop demanding the mirror change and start looking honestly at what it is actually showing you.